organization that I choose to audit for this final report was Riverwind Casino in Norman, Oklahoma. In terms of hiring at Riverwind, I identified a few aspects that I think that they could change or alter that could help increase diversity at the organization. One is to reach out to a more diverse pool of potential employees. Riverwind tends to be somewhat reactive or passive about their hiring. They do it mostly online through their employment website. By going out into communities or targeting their efforts at a more diverse group of people, they could bring in a lot more inclusion and diversity into the staff, which is beneficial in several different ways. Another thing is to think about what your company really needs out of new employees. That kind of goes into targeting a more diverse group of people. If you're hiring for marketing, you might consider the type of people that you will be marketing to, or maybe a segment of the population that you're not currently reaching. By considering things like that, you can make employment decisions that both increase diversity and make your marketing, in this example, more effective and more efficient. Another thing is to be conscious of screening questions. I noticed that some of the questions that they use in their hiring practice may not be relatable to other cultures. People don't have experiences with situations or challenges that they're asked about in these interviews or in online screening questions, and that can really impact how those people score or how the human resources people who are making the hiring decisions view those applicants. There are a few issues at Riverwind with promotion practices. The one that came up the most often, that I've heard the most about, is the idea of Chickasaw first. It's a stated goal of the Chickasaw Nation to better the lives of the Chickasaw people, and in a functional sense of promotions, they will hire or promote Chickasaws ahead of all other people. So this means if two people are up for the same job, even if one person is more qualified or has more experience, the Chickasaw employee gets preference. This creates a lot of senses of favoritism or unfairness or discrimination against those who are not Chickasaw, and it creates a sort of tension between employees and management because people feel like even with their best effort, they won't be recognized and rewarded. Another issue is understanding a person's culture and cultural biases that a manager might have. In a department where you have, let's say, a white male manager, they may see somebody who is quiet and more reserved, and when a position of supervisor opens up, they may look that person over and not consider them because they don't think they're cut out for the job, when in all reality, it may be their cultural norm to be more quiet and reserved or passive or not challenging of authority. So understanding those things is important in terms of seeking out the best candidate and understanding your employees and choosing employees based off of their qualifications and not your misunderstandings or your unconscious biases of them. This is something that happens at Riverwind, and it does need to be addressed. That being said, a lot of managers at Riverwind, managers of departments, are white males. So this is an issue that has the potential to have a large effect on promotions across the casino as a whole. The third issue of diversity and inclusion at Riverwind that I wanted to address was the training and coaching of employees and managers to be able to identify and deal with issues of discrimination in the workplace. A lot of times people are ill-equipped or unable to recognize issues or discrimination or bias that are taking place. And the only way to fix this is to have ongoing, fluid, dynamic training that highlights the issues and the potential ways to solve the problems that come up. If these types of things aren't addressed, people tend to withdraw from their work. They don't put as much passion into it, they don't put as much effort into it, and additionally, they tend to withdraw from the organization. They don't feel empowered by the company they work for. They don't feel treated well or treated the way that they think that they deserve to be treated. And nobody wants to feel like they're just being used or ignored. So providing your employees with the ability to recognize and overcome those challenges is very important. Kind of to add on top of that, it's very important to keep your managers informed and conscious of the potential for bias. By creating a strong management team, you set up a situation where those managers can pass along that type of attitude and understanding to their departments. It bolsters it from the top down. And as the quote says, it's a companies where the CEO is actively engaged in diversity efforts and either founded or heads diversity business groups that stand out. This is an issue that can't just be dealt with by frontline employees at Riverwind. This has to be started and pushed and encouraged from the very top. Another issue that Riverwind has is they are a 24-hour business, and as such, they have employees that have a lot of different schedules. The problem is they normally offer 2 to 3 class times throughout an offering, but you may have a single mother who's working third shift because that's the only time that she can work and have her child taken care of. So asking her to come in at 3 in the afternoon doesn't work for her. So as it stands, the choices are either she pays more to get a babysitter to come in when she normally wouldn't have to, which she may not be able to afford, or she doesn't get the training. Those two things seem fairly unacceptable. One positive change that has been made recently is that due to COVID, a lot of these courses are online, and this creates availability for everyone, and they are able to log on from home and take the courses whenever they have the time. The last aspect of fostering diversity and inclusion at Riverwind that I think is important to address is creating a quality corporate culture. I think one of the steps that they could take is to take more of an interest in each employee as an individual. I think at Riverwind it tends to be more department specific and collective as opposed to acknowledging the individuals that make up that group. I think by taking a more personalized approach and fostering those relationships, you create a situation where people feel like they belong and they feel like they want to give their full effort to the company. And from the organization's perspective, it gives you a better understanding of the employees that you have, and that can alter the types of training you decide you need to do, or as I mentioned earlier, it can alter the likelihood of promotions, and it can improve decisions being made on hiring or promotions. So all around, I think that taking an individualized, employee-centered focus pays a lot of dividends in creating an inclusive corporate culture. Another aspect would be to create diverse teams for initiatives that you create. One thing that Riverwind does is they have a number of fundraisers throughout the year, but it's a small team of managers that decide what the fundraiser is going to be or who it's going to be for. I think if you were to take a diverse group of employees and build a team aimed at coming up with ideas for fundraisers, you might find that not only does it create more interest and more participation from the employees as a whole, but you will get more benefit because the perspective of such a diverse group of people is bound to increase the creativity and the range of ideas that come up. The quote says it best that by including other groups of Americans, not just Euro-Americans or African Americans, there's an increase in supportive relationships and a decrease in intra-group conflict. So by creating these teams that are not as homogenous as they might be right now, you open up the possibility for expansion of ideas and thoughts and perspective, and you create a stronger unit of employees and a stronger connection between management and frontline employees. Riverwind faces a lot of challenges in terms of inclusion and diversity within their workforce, but I think by making these few small changes, they can have an exponential return and increase not only the effectiveness of their business, but also the happiness of their employees and a better relationship between the organization and their staff. Thank you.